We have Johnny calling from the UK. Pronouns are him. Johnny's agnostic, which is strange, but wants to explain why he's inclined to believe in God. So, Johnny, welcome. You're on with Austin and Matt.
Hello, guys. I hope you can hear me well.
I hear you okay.
mm,
It's a little quiet, but
yeah. I will try to speak louder then. Yeah, I mean, I've had this conversation with somebody recently. Um, to me, it seems that morality is objective. Um, and I don't know if this is necessarily an argument for the existence of a God, but it seems to me at least that it's pointing in that direction. So
okay.
yes, I was
Well,
yeah.
do you mean
Can we
that
start?
the things that you're seeing with regard to morality, you think point to a being saying that's morality?
Well, my my point is what I'm trying to say is that I feel like there is like a progression on the scale of morality in behavior. So I feel like
Yeah,
so
so
this
but that's
scale.
also interesting because you said morality is objective, and if
Yes,
something,
yes.
if and okay, so that's, but you also think there's been a progression on it culturally, that it's changed or evolved with culture. Is that what you're saying?
Not necessarily with culture, but I feel like, as I said earlier, I feel that there is a progression in morality. So there is a scale of better types of behavior, and I feel like these type of behaviors must stop somewhere. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that there is
Johnny,
an yes.
So
you understand that do you play chess?
No, I'm contemplating starting that though.
It's a great game. I play it every day. I play it during calls sometime. Chess is a game that we completely made up and we have revised and changed the rules of over the years. There's nothing
Yeah.
about the universe that said this is what chess needs to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So when we first start playing chess, we know the rules, but we don't necessarily know the best strategy. And as we continue to play, we learn better and better strategies, right?
Yep.
Does that mean there's an objective best strategy? And does that imply that there's an objective maker?
Yeah, I understand your analogy. It's a very good one. I would say that demonstrates there are better objective ways to play.
Yeah. But so
So yeah.
the assessment of is this way better than others? That can be objective, but
Mhm.
that's all in it is relative to the goal of not losing. What if you have a different goal?
Yeah, that's true. Though
So
I would say, yeah.
so basically what
Sorry,
it
I want
is
to
I've used
listen.
this as an analogy before. The goal of chess is something we just declare. You could play chess and have a different goal. You could play of I'm going to sacrifice my queen and then still try to win. You could make up whatever goals you want. But the base goal for chess is avoid losing. That
Mhm.
is similar to other games, and it's what we do to gamify things. But there's nothing in the universe that dictates that the objective goal of chess is to avoid losing. But once we agree, when you and I sit down, hey, our shared objective is to avoid losing, that we agree that that's going to be the foundation, and here are the rules. Now, all of a sudden, every one of our moves can be evaluated non subjectively with whether it advances or diminishes that goal. We may not always know the right answer because we may not be able to see far enough. Chess is not a solved game the way checkers is. Um, so, are you saying that there is an objective moral rule set that we are discovering?
Sorry if I didn't make myself understood. I'm a little bit tired too. I'm trying to say that I would say there are better ways to behave. There are better behaviors than others, and this points to me to us. Um, um, let me think it through. Uh, and sorry, just bear with me 1 second. It seems to me that if there are indeed better behaviors than others, then this points to objective morality, because there are
Yeah.
objective ways,
I used to think the same
behave
thing.
better.
I used to
Yeah.
think the same thing. And I used to say that if there are better ways, there must be a best way. But there's not, because morality is entirely situational. The facts around the situation are dynamic, and the universe is dynamic, which means where it may be immoral to, let's say, break a window and steal something under A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, maybe it's actually morally permissible under scenario Q. Maybe it's morally permissible under a number of different scenarios. For example, I'd say it's wrong to steal groceries, but I remember watching during hurricanes when the grocery stores were closed and people couldn't get there and the food was going to spoil. I remember people going in and taking that food in order to survive. And I think their action was the most moral action that they could take. They were in a situation where they needed to protect their lives and the other people's lives. And there's food sitting over there that's going to waste. They have no way to pay for it. They have no way to interact with anybody. It's going to rot. I think that was the most moral action. If you have a simplified view, then they're thieves and they were immoral. And I would say they are thieves, but not immoral.
What would what would be the correspondence for best type of behavior, as you said earlier?
It depends
you
entirely on
said
the goal.
but just sorry. I want to finish the sentence, and you will see what I mean by that. Because you said earlier that you used to believe in better types of behavior, and then therefore there must have been a best one.
Yeah.
The Bible would call it. No, I understand that. I completely understand.
Okay.
The Bible would call it holiness, right?
Why would I?
The
Why
best
do I
type
care
of
what
behavior.
the Bible says?
I mean, obviously you said you used to believe in the best behavior.
Is slavery morally permissible?
I don't know. I mean, no, definitely no.
Okay. And if and you would agree that the Bible advocates for slavery being morally permissible, right?
Yeah, I mean there are some verses there,
Not just some verses. The Bible specifically goes through and has two different rules, one for the Jews and one for the Gentiles. And it tells them who to enslave, how to enslave them, that they can buy their slaves from the heathen that surround them, that their slaves become their property, although the King James Version calls it money, but that's what it means, is property, that they can beat the slaves as long as they don't die within a couple days, that the slaves can be transferred ownership and passed on to your children. None of this is something that I would consider moral. There may be some circumstance where you could invent something that's moral, but as a general rule for the world we live in and have always lived in, I would say that is and always was immoral, and it should have been fairly easy to recognize. And yet the Bible gets it wrong. So I don't care what the Bible says about morality. I care about whether or not the morality is in any way good or useful. And so far, the Bible, which doesn't have equality for sexes, doesn't have equality for sexuality, doesn't have equality at all. The Jews are God's chosen people. I think equality is a foundational principle of a good moral system, and that excludes the Bible and Christianity and Judaism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I could see justified, slavery, but only in situations where, like, the so-called slaves would be contextually dependent on somebody. So not like you know, being forced to do it, but like having to do it. I feel like there is a difference between being
That's
forced
not
and having
slavery.
to. Sorry?
That's not slavery. That's a job.
Yeah. This is what I'm saying. Like, I feel like there are people in this world that they have been unfortunate, or like they couldn't like deal with life by themselves, so they would need like help. And
Yes,
you know,
that's help.
yeah,
That's not slavery either. In all of your attempts to try to find an excuse for why the Bible is so monumentally wrong about slavery, now you're just saying, oh, there's some circumstance where it's not really slavery, but I'd be okay with it. Yeah, me too. I'm okay with helping people, and I'm okay with people
yeah.
working. That's not slavery.
You know, earlier I was trying to say how I would see the, you know, how I would see this slavery justified. Like, if you would change the meaning of it, I would see it justified. But
Well,
like, no, I can't
if you
see. Yeah,
change the meaning of good, I'd be fine with that too. You can't just change the meaning of things in order to try to find a way where it becomes good. Hell, if you know, one of my favorite jokes of all time from a comedian that I really liked is about the Rodney King jury trial. And one of the officers sitting there, and the joke is that he says, well, you know, it's all in how you look at it. For example, if you play the tape backwards, you'll see that we helped him up and sent him on his way. Yes, if you completely change the definition of things, that changes it.
you know, I definitely don't think slavery is good. I definitely don't think slavery should be permitted. That was not my point.
Yeah, right. But I think that the problem foundationally for me with this entire call, Johnny, if I can just jump in here really quick, is that you started off by saying the reason why you're inclined to believe in a God as an agnostic is that morality is objective. And I even clarified. I said, is that what you're actually saying? Did you mean subjective? And you said, no, I mean objective. And he said, because morality is objective and there is objectively a better way to behave and a worse way to behave, there must be a best way to behave. And that best morality points to, you know, I guess we would say a morally perfect figure, which must be God, that there must be like a, you know, a logical endpoint to this objective morality spectrum. And I just fundamentally disagree with the assertion that morality is indeed objective. I just live in a world where and exactly what you just said. You said, I don't believe slavery is good. Well, there are people throughout human history who have disagreed with that assertion and who have, to them, in their subjective, through their subjective lens, as warped as I might find it, have been able to justify, and there are people who exist today who justify slavery. There are people right now, half the country that I live in right now is celebrating the idea of taking away healthcare from millions of people, children and disabled people, because they've decided that their personal subjective framework for morality is just to beat their political opponents at all costs. As long as it pisses off their political opponents, it's moral in their minds. What morality means to different people just takes on a different shape because morality is fundamentally subjective. So you and I might be able to come to a mutual understanding of morality that we can agree on and say, this is a moral framework that we believe in and a moral spectrum, but there's no way to actually definitively lock down a moral spectrum that we could, I don't think, honestly call objective and say this should be objective for all people everywhere in any circumstance, this spectrum. You and I might be able to agree on it. Me and Matt might be able to agree on it. The people in our chat might agree with all of us, and we might be pretty similarly minded. But even in our chat, I was looking and some people were saying things about how they feel morality should be structured that I was like, I could poke holes in that too. And there's just going to be different subjective approaches to the question of morality. So if that's where it starts, is just that the idea is morality is objective, and an objective moral spectrum implies the existence of a best or perfect morality, and that perfect morality would likely be God. I disagree with the foundation of the entire premise that morality is objective to begin with. I don't believe that it is, and I don't believe that there's any way to substantiate that claim unless you feel you can.
No, I definitely can't, and I won't waste your time. It was just only this idea that Jesus' behavior seemed very, not as you would expect from somebody lacking, profoundness and, some somebody that would just lie. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I wouldn't see somebody with that kind of profoundness lying. But there are obviously so many statements that he said that obviously it's kind of hard to believe, like very hard to believe. Because, for example, myself, I'm not convinced under no circumstance. I totally disagree that there should be somebody who would deserve hell. I mean, as bad as you would be as a person, and maybe there are some exceptions, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I definitely can't convince you of something.
Yeah. Like I said, Johnny, I would agree with you. And I think that you and I probably actually have a very similar idea of a subjective moral spectrum that we could agree on. I would agree with you that I don't think it's moral to subject someone to eternal torture because they got some weird test wrong. But I don't know that this is the best use of our time on this show, this call. I think that the premise of and you already agreed that the premise of your inclination to believe in God is this idea of moral objective morality, which you now agree you cannot demonstrate. And we do have people in line that say they would like to make it their case for an existence of God. So, in my opinion, I think maybe we should move on.
Yeah, sorry, my bad.
How do you feel?
I will do my homework. I will do my homework because I know I didn't present my argument, in the best way I could have. And thank you for having me here, guys.
Yep.
Thanks, Johnny.
And I wish you a good night. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
You too. Thank you.
Look forward to hearing from you again when you've got more.
Hey, if you liked this video, why don't you click that like button?
And if you didn't
That's
like
where
it,
you would say,
subscribe.
Okay.
Oh, you didn't even give me a chance.
It was such a long pause.
What are you on speed or something? I barely had a chance.
Let's try again. Hey, I hope you liked. Hey, I hope you. Fuck. Hey there. I hope you liked that clip. Hey, I hope you liked that clipper just now, the one that you just watched with your eyes. If you did like it, why don't you click that like button?
And if you didn't like it, tell Jimmy to go fuck himself.
Hey, I hope you liked that clip right now. If you did like it, why don't you hit that like button?
And if you didn't like it, go ahead and subscribe anyway.